Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hammy Show. We are here to talk about the fight against suicide, a great cause here and around multiple campuses around the country. And we have a very, very special person with us, a dear friend of mine, a dear friend of the show. This is Carrie Smith, the one and the only. And we've got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. First off, let's just talk about the fight against suicide, how exciting it is that it's right around the corner, and what are you looking forward to most?
I think I'm looking most forward to the expansion to all the different campuses. I mean, I think this, started as something small and now it's grown to be a movement where we're talking about mental health and using creative strategies to figure out how we keep it top of mind to be talking about how we fight suicide.
Yeah, so one of the things that we talked about last time you were on this show was just how important this issue is and shining a light on it and making it not such a stigma against bringing it up. Talk about a little bit about what the fight against suicide is doing to bring it to the limelight.
Yeah, one of the things I really appreciate about the fight against suicide is that it is truly a values-driven organization. So yes, there's events. Yes, there are different things where we're talking about students engaging in their well-being. But what I really appreciate is that they focus on education. And so not just stopping with one event, but continuing to discuss this and train people so that they can then apply skills to truly fight against suicide, which has become such an incredible epidemic and something that we have to keep fighting against, whether it's in the ring or outside the ring through education.
That's amazing. So I want to talk a little bit about you, what your role is through the fight against suicide, what you're going to be helping these guys with.
Yeah, so that's something I'm really excited about this year is that we've added on a training component that's not just training for boxing. We are going to be performing QPR training. And so I am the lead QPR trainer for the fight against suicide, and we'll be going on to every single campus where they are having a fight and conducting these QPR trainings for those people who are participating, but also just for the community at large so it doesn't just stop at the end of the ring.
That's amazing. And what exactly is QPR? Because
Yes.
I'm a little lost on
That
it.
would be helpful. Yeah, so QPR stands for Question, Persuade, Refer. The idea is that we're going to ask the question about suicide and learn how to do that. And then we're going to persuade someone to want to stay alive, but also to seek help. And then we're going to refer them to the appropriate resources. So really it's skills building for that one-on-one communication you might have with a friend. It's also learning how to then help them understand why they need to help themselves, but it's also equipping people to know where you're going to refer them in order to get help. The idea of QPR training, and this is really the gold standard of suicide prevention training, is to make sure we're creating this incredible network of gatekeepers that helps people understand that we can all be gatekeepers. We can all learn these basic skills in order to Q, P, and R and make sure that people are staying alive and seeking the help they need when they need it the most.
So I think it's so interesting that when people are dealing with these mental health struggles, they're so scared to reach out to somebody in the community that can talk about it. So it's such an importance to train their everyday friends because those are the people that they reach out to. Talk about a little bit about how you can get these people in these school systems to reach out to their friends. What is step number one to being there for your buddy?
Yeah, first and foremost, if you look at national statistics, we don't have a lot of students that are always going to the counseling center when they need help. What you and I both know is some of the toughest conversations we have with some of our demons happen when we're just with our friends or we're with someone who's trusted to us. And a lot of times that may not be a mental health care person. And so it needs to be all of us in the community who can hear a friend ask for help and then feel equipped to know what to do and not hesitate. Again, I focus on that cue, not hesitate to ask that question and not hesitate to say that word suicide, which I think is even more stigmatized than anything else in mental health. And so continuing to help people build those skills is really important so that we know we are all the people that people can come to, and so that as a person out in the community, if I'm struggling, I feel like the people around me are equipped to get me the help. And so that's good that I'm confiding in them or talking to them about what I need help about.
Yeah, so the kind of second part of that is you're not only checking in on the people around you, but you got to check in on yourself.
Yeah.
That is one of the most important things that we talked about last time we sat down is check in on yourself because you're going through the same struggles and being equipped to know when you're wrong and when you are feeling kind of down, whatever it is. So talk about how you're educating these kids on what they feel and how
Yeah.
to help that.
So the QPR training is 90 minutes. And over the course of that, yes, we go over the Q, the P, the R. But we also talk about ways that we can set our own personal boundaries to know that we're not someone's therapist, that we don't have to have all the answers. And so what we're able to do is not only equip people with crisis lines that they can give to people in times of need, but also to be able to kind of have the language to say, I really care about you, and I think there's someone else that you can talk to that's more equipped, and then support them on that path all the way through. Again, I always tell anyone that I'm talking to, whether it's a friend or a family member, it's okay to set boundaries, even when that can feel very awkward in a very tense conversation, especially because anytime that someone tells you that maybe they're thinking about losing their life, and I've been doing this work for over a decade, it's never comfortable, but you have to be able to push through that as the helper. And then after that, you have to be able to process that. And so if you have a network of gatekeepers, you'll have people where you can say, I had to have this tough conversation and get someone connected. And the hope is that they'll understand what you went through, but also appreciate what you did. Because I think we worry about doing the wrong thing, but QPR is setting you up to actually do something and feel like you've done what you could to help that person get help.
Exactly. So these guys that are going to be fighting in this, the people on staff for the Fight Against Suicide, are all going to do this QPR training with you. And whereas in the past they've been just boxers or they've been just fundraisers for this organization, they will now be resources in this community. What is the importance of having somebody that is maybe a figurehead in the ring or organizing this event? What is the importance of having them as actual resources to reach out to?
Yeah, well, I mean, I hate to say this and use a cliche, but I mean, it's not just about walking the walk, it's being able to talk the talk. It's kind of reverse, but I think that's what we're really doing. And I really appreciate that about the Fight Against Suicide, is that as they were thinking about expansion and as they were thinking about all the places they wanted to go touch, they were also thinking about how to educate people on how to be there for people. I have found too that students really appreciate this training so much that then they want to figure out how they can go train other people in this QPR training. And so I know that we are hoping that we have enough people engaged this year that maybe next year we move to a place where we're training people who are fighting in the ring to then spend the rest of their time at that university training other people in QPR training to make sure that we continue to pass on that gatekeeper training.
Yeah. So we have so many fights going on around the country.
Yeah.
The Fight Against Suicide has expanded to multiple campuses, not just here at the University of Georgia. How can students get involved more so than just getting a ticket to the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I would be remiss not to say get a ticket to the fight. The reality is that these trainings that we conduct cost money, and what the Fight Against Suicide is doing is raising money so that they can put it back into these trainings to continue to offer them for free. And so what I would tell people is that if this is something that interests you and you're like, I want to be a gatekeeper, which we hope that'll be everyone's call to action, buy a ticket to the fight, support the cause, give money to the Fight Against Suicide, but then also figure out a way to be a part of these trainings. And so for anyone who's watching this and interested, we hope that you'll reach out on Instagram to the Fight Against Suicide, tell us what campus you're on, and we'll get you plugged in to take one of the 2 sessions of trainings that are going to happen during the week. They're happening on different nights depending on which fight we're talking about, but really excited that we have a fight coming up next week where we've got on Tuesday night 2 different sessions of these 90-minute trainings, and hoping that we can continue to educate through this.
That's amazing. You're not the only one that is doing this. There's so many great organizations across all of these campuses that we're visiting. We've got the South Carolina fight coming up very soon, and an organization there is USC Mind. Talk a little bit about what not just them, but so many other organizations on these campuses are doing.
There's so many professionals at these universities, and there's so many student organizations, and I think the student organizations are the ones that really kind of inspire me. And so you mentioned USC Mind. What they've been able to do to raise awareness about taking care of your mind is just incredible. And so I'm super excited about next week to be in South Carolina, right there in Columbia on the campus, and work with great students like USC Mind to continue to promote this, but also to expand what they're doing to be more specific about trainings that we can provide while they continue to work so hard to raise awareness. And then to have that all come together around the fight against suicide, I think is going to be something really special in Columbia, and of course something we'll continue at these other campuses.
It is so cool because, like you said, it's the student-led organizations that
Absolutely.
help so much. We talked about it earlier, how the friends are the ones that people reach out to when they're struggling, maybe not the counselors on campus or things like that. So what USC Mind has done is taking care of taking care of your mind and bridging them with the fight against suicide.
Absolutely.
Having this fight in Columbia, it's going to be amazing. So not only are there organizations, there's events other than the fight that we're doing, like this QPR training. We're having Wellness Week. Talk about that.
So what the Fight Against Suicide really wanted to do was go start these wellness weeks at different places to, again, not only teach people skills like QPR, not only have a great event like the Fight Against Suicide, but also to engage other organizations like USC Mind to continue to build off what they're doing. So for instance, next week there'll be a yoga event that people can participate in. You'll be able to get ready for the weigh-ins and the fights, and there'll also be some social activity because honestly, building social connection is really important in preventing suicide. And so making sure people don't feel isolated. So I hope if the fight is not your thing that you'll continue to engage with the Wellness Week. But again, like I said, this is an incredible organization where the entire purpose is for the money to come back in to continue to spread the word about how we fight suicide.
So we talked about reaching out and getting involved. How can people do that, and how can we get to them, basically?
Yeah, so I mean, we have so many campuses that are already interested in having the Fight Against Suicide come on their campus, and are certainly in talks with other campuses who have seen this movement happen. But the hope is that people will follow along, and if this is something that you want at your campus or you want to figure out how to recreate this, I just encourage people to reach out to me or to the Fight Against Suicide, and we'll be glad to make that happen on your campus so we can continue to spread the word.
So cool just to talk to somebody like you that is in this world and has been for such a long time and is now with the Fight Against Suicide, and we're doing so much to really push forward this destigmatization of suicide. Any message that you want to leave with everybody?
Yeah, I think so many messages I'd like to leave with people.
Come on.
But I really think just sticking with the fact that this training is for everyone. You know, for the longest time we talked about CPR, and it seems so normal to get CPR trained. That's what we're doing for the mental health training here. QPR is basically CPR, or like learning the Heimlich maneuver. It's figuring out what to do in a time of crisis. And it's figuring out how to do it in a way that you can feel confident getting your friend or a close loved one connected to what they need. So don't hesitate to wonder if this is a training that's for you or if you've had enough life experience. What I would say is take advantage of this opportunity that the Fight Against Suicide is giving us and join us in the fight.
Such a cool event, and we are so excited to be in the presence of such an amazing person like Carrie Smith, who's doing so much for the fight against suicide, so much for these campuses around the country. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hammy.
It is always fun talking. It's so fun seeing you in a professional life because we're such dear friends.
Yes, indeed.
But it is so cool what everybody's doing, and please, 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 get involved. Reach out to us. This is such a cool event, and I know every single person watching this will want to be just as involved as we are because we're doing some special stuff. So,
very much so.
It is awesome, but we will see you next time on The Hammy Show. We will see you next time at the next fight for the fight against suicide. I look forward to talking more about suicide. I look forward to destigmatizing this issue that is everywhere around us. So please follow along. We have so much more stuff coming for you. Thank you so much once again. Have a good one.